Hey foodies, and how's it going? So if you're new to my channel, my name is Dee, also known as Diane, and it's Cook with Dee here. So in the last video, I actually gave you a chicken recipe, a whole roast chicken recipe, and I had a few comments. I hope people were able to actually recreate it. And if you do, make sure you tag me on Instagram @_cookwithdee. So today it's Nigerian Independence Day. So I just thought, you know what, let me make something light, let me plate it in a really nice way and make an all-time classic breakfast favourite. So typically on this very day, people eat all sorts of different things, and even in Nigeria you can have a gege bread with beans, plantain and other varieties. But do you know what? If I give you yam and egg, what does that make? Yam and egg sauce. So today I'm going to be making yam and egg sauce as inspo, and I'll be making it with a twist. So, what's the twist? So the twist today is the fact that I'm going to be adding seafood into the yam sauce. Now typically people will just use your onions, tomato, maybe even scotch bonnet or pepper with your eggs and make it into like a nice scrambled egg. Obviously we're not going to overcook it either. But I just thought, you know what, Nigerians like to add mackerel, sardines, the tinned ones especially with the tomato sauce, if you know, you know, into your egg sauce. So I thought, why not do something different? Okay, so as I mentioned before, we'll be using yam, and I plan on double cooking this. So what I'll do first, I will boil it. After that, I'll then pan fry it in some olive oil. And also, look, you do not need to use sugar. You don't need to use sugar to boil your yam. I'm actually shouting about this. You don't need to do this. And then of course the glorious tomatoes. Now you can't really make an egg sauce without tomatoes. Okay? So instead of using the brown onion, the white onion, we're gonna basically go with a shallot. So I like shallot. I think they're quite cute and long. They add a different kind of layer of dimension and flavor to your dish. So I'm gonna use this instead. And then we're gonna use the glorious egg. Well, not one egg. You want to make a scrambled dish, even for yourself, I think 2 eggs is fine. If you're a little bit greedy, you can go for 3. If you have a group, you can go for like 5. Okay, if you're bulking, maybe you can go for 6. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So instead of adding your chili powder or whatever else, I'm gonna basically go in with scotch bonnet. Now this is 1 whole scotch bonnet. I am gonna be making a slightly smaller quantity today, so I'll probably be using maybe 2 to 3 eggs. So I may just use half of this. Okay, so in true Cook with Dee fashion, I'm gonna make sure that the plate looks pretty. You're probably thinking, what business does garnishing have with yam and egg sauce? Don't worry, don't think too much into it. I feel like a plate looking pretty is very important. Okay, so we're gonna go in with the yam now, and typically people cut it in round shapes like so, but I think for the purpose of the video and also for plating, I'm gonna just go ahead and cut rectangular shapes, and then I'm gonna put it on the saucepan to boil. So if you look closely, you'll see some shoots here, and the thing is, rather than peeling it off, it's a lot better for you to go in with your knife and literally just cut around like so. So what will happen is that when you actually boil it, it will not get dark. And another tip for you is that this is actually this color because I cut half a tuber of yam and I didn't put any oil on there. So if you've got vegetable oil, olive oil or anything like that, you can just rub it at the tip so that way you're not actually going to lose a lot of your yam when you start boiling it and cutting it. So now I'm just going to go and wash the yam. Make sure all of that is gone, and you'll be able to tell, you know, it's a bit like when you're washing rice and the starchy colour does go. You'll be able to see with this, and it should feel quite rough. You know, there shouldn't be much gunk left, because that's basically what it is. It's muck. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm happy with the clear water. I'm happy with how it feels. I'm now going to transfer it into the saucepan. The saucepan already has water in it, it's heated, so let's go for it here. So in today's dish, the yam has main character syndrome. Look at that steam. Basically, I had to reduce it down to gas mark 6 because essentially, because I cut it in a way that's thin, I mean, this is probably one of the thickest ones. It is getting a bit soft now, and I still need to be able to fry it. So at this point, I'm going to stop it. And what I would say is that I think I've boiled it for about 8 minutes now, which actually you may want, it depends on how thick it is, you may want to do it less. Again, it depends on how high it is as well. So that's it. And now we're going to go on to chop in the shallot, the scotch bonnet and the tomato. Okay, so now we're going to go in with the tomatoes, okay? You may just want to cut it in light chunks. So I've got my eggs in one hand and I've got my fish slice in another. And what I'm going to do, just trying to check around the edges to see how hard it is, because that's typically how I will tell if it's ready to be flipped over, because we don't want it to be overcooked. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our eggs. And now it's time to whisk. Start to whisk it until it's nice and combined. And that should be enough now. I think it's nice and yellow, which I like. Okay, so now it's time to check on our yam. Let's turn that over. Okay, it's nice and golden. Alright, so we're taking it off now. So on one side I cooked it for about 4 minutes. On the second side I cooked it for about 2 minutes, because they actually are quite thinly sliced, so you don't want it to be hard like cardboard or like biscuit. Yam is not supposed to be like biscuit, okay? When you cut into it, bite into it, it's supposed to be nice and somewhat fluffy, okay? Alright, so this has been cooking for about 4 minutes now. I like my tomatoes to be a little bit soft, but I have to factor in the fact that the prawns are going to go in. They've just gone in now. And I don't want to overcook prawns. I think it should maybe cook for about 2 minutes at the very max. Right, so in goes the eggs. The egg is what calms the storm. Can you see how quiet all of that was? So it's very important to give it a mix. Again, with this you don't want to overcook it. Even with the prawns, depending on how many you're using, I used about, let's say 6 or 7 mixed together, chopped up. You don't really need to cook it for too long. Now, I've already added some salt to this before, but I'm going to go in with my Norwegian seasoning, just add a little bit in here. It serves as like a herb. It's like mixed herbs, if you like. Okay, so we've cooked everything, and now it's time to plate it up. I'm going to place this right in the center here. And for reference, I'm just going to show you what the yam would actually look like when you cut into it. You can see it's quite soft inside, which is great. Resembles a potato. And also you can see that is quite crusty there as well, which is absolutely what we like. Next in, I'm going to go in with the egg. Put this on carefully. Now you have to be patient. You know, this is not your average egg that you eat on like a Sunday morning before you go to church. You want to cover everything up. Lastly, for the garnish, you know, you may want to add your stew, but for me, I'm going to go in with my flat leaf parsley. I can see a break here, so I'm going to cut this like so. And I'm going to place it right in the middle. So today it's National... The what?
Sing it.
What? Brother. So you guessed it. What are they guessing? Produced, dried and exported from seaweed.
So well.
And there we have it. Our first drop and our second drop. Whoa! It's about to be a party. Yeah, guys.